Hey everybody, Matt here from Avenue Record Company. Got another quick tutorial for you here. This is a trick that I use on pretty much every drum kit that I record, and even some sample drum libraries that I use. This is a gated reverb drum trick that I use to make your drums sound like they were recorded in this enormous room, even if they weren't. And I used to have a studio in a basement, and the drum room that I had was not very big, so this is something I had to employ all the time. Now that I'm in a new space, I have a really, really big room, about a 5,000 square foot room here, and we record drums up here, and they sound enormous, but I find myself still using this technique because it simply adds something behind the drums that I feel like I'm just missing otherwise. So let me solo these drums out, and I'm gonna scroll down to my buses, and the track that we're interested in right here is this drum gate track. And so I'll play the drums in solo, and I will mute and unmute this bus just to kind of show you the effect that it's having on the kit. So you can hear it's very, very subtle, but it seems to just add this extra little something behind the drums after they're hit. So let me pull up the plugin that I'm using here. If you watch my tutorials, you'll see this Verb Suite Classics from Slate Digital pop up a lot because this is, by and large, my favorite overall reverb. If you don't have it, I highly recommend it. But basically all I'm doing is I am using a drum preset called Gaty 80s Drums. Basically, this is just a pre-gated reverb for your drums. And it's the same kind of effect that you hear from the 80s, made famous by guys like Phil Collins, who are known for that gated drum reverb sound. And so what I do is I pull this plugin up on a bus, and then I send just a handful of the direct mics. You can see I've got all four of the toms going through. The fader on the toms is about negative 10 decibels, and then I've got the kick and snare. Those are really the points of interest. So I've got the kick and snare. The send is at unity, so it's sending a full signal from the snare drum and the kick drum to this reverb. After that, all I do is I use the fader on the bus itself to find my balance as to how much of this effect I want. Now, the idea behind this trick is you want to make sure that you're frugal with it. If you push it too far, you can start to hear the gated reverb tonality that you're giving your drums. And unless you want that, that's going to take your drums in a direction that you probably don't want them to go. So let me scroll over here and I will unsolo the drums. And just so you can really get a sense of what this effect is doing, I am going to push this fader quite a bit while this plays back. So you can tell it's got a very gated reverb tonality to it, so you don't want to overdo it with this effect. Let me play this back again, and I'll mute and unmute this bus just so you can hear the impact that it has on the entire mix. You can hear it has a pretty substantial effect, even though it's just barely blended in. It has a really nice effect on the drums and makes them sound, like I said, like you have this enormous room behind your drums, even if you just recorded them in a spare bedroom in your house. So that's the technique. That's what I do, like I said, on just about every drum track that that's something I do on just about every drum kit that I mix. So have fun with that. Whenever you're using, if you decide you're going to use this exact plugin, play with your decay times, because sometimes a longer decay can be more appropriate for the song. I felt like it sounded great right where it was out of the box, so typically I pull up this Gaty 80s preset and I don't even touch it. Thanks for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do me a favor and click the subscribe button. If you're enjoying this on IGTV, feel free to share it. Have a wonderful rest of your week and happy music making.